Good morning, everybody. John Spielkel here for GAI Insights, where we do the GenAI news briefing every morning, and we get a chance to tell you what is essential, important, or optional. Today, we have an amazing set of 7 articles, everything from Microsoft changing the Windows AI operating system to be a whole new method of search and decentralized intelligence. Dell building AI factories with NVIDIA. Nice little article by Ethan Mollick on how AI is changing management. We're going to a little bit of spike in ChatGPT's revenue due to their Omni launch. And then some interesting stuff on science in terms of major new multimodal model and Scarlett Johansson asking how come you're using something that sounds a lot like my voice. All right, we have a lot going on today. I think a lot of essential and important. So, Ankash, could you start us off with Microsoft's big announcement?
Sure, thanks, John. So the first one that we have for today is from Microsoft. So Microsoft's build event is going on, and they have launched a number of announcements. And the first one is that they have launched a Copilot Plus PC, so a new Windows laptop which has Copilot and a lot of hardware to go with it.
All right. David, where do you land on this one? Optional, important, or essential?
Okay, I think this is quite clearly essential and super exciting. So they've got 40 plus generative AI models running to power this new AI operating system that they'll have in their PCs, which gives it already like some really interesting functionality that seems like it'll be super helpful. There's image editing. You can basically start drawing something and have the computer take over and like finish the image and replicate it. I saw a demonstration of someone playing a video game, which I tried to find so we could play here, but I couldn't find the original version of it, where basically you'd be bantering back and forth with a co-pilot while you're playing. So in the demo, the person was saying, hey, I want to build a sword or something to use, and the AI can actually see your screen and is responding in real time and saying, oh, I see you're trying to do XYZ with the sword. Actually, you need to click over here. What are some of the other functionalities that it has? There's a recall function where you can basically look back at all the apps that you've used over the past months. That looked a little clunky for the moment. It looked like a scroll, although it said that you could use search to find apps that you were using. You can run things locally, so your photos aren't going up to the web. I mean, this is amazing, and the price point $9.99. So obviously higher than your average PC, but like way lower than you would pay for a Mac. So I mean, this is where we expected things to go, and it's finally here. And kudos to Microsoft. I say essential.
Essential. All right. Adam, I know you and I were in the pregame warm up talking about the architecture of this thing. Any comments?
No, I think David summarized it well. I think it's key to emphasize, and I saw an interview with Satya Nadella about this already, that the privacy concerns are being alleviated to a degree at least because all of this is running locally. He said this would not work if it wasn't on the edge, right? So it's important to bear in mind you have these 40 AI models running on your laptop. When it's taking a snapshot every second of your screen, that's what they actually call it. They call it like a photographic memory because the way it's keeping track of all the apps you've used is it's taking a picture over and over and over again and just storing all those images. And then you can chat with AI about everything it's seen you do. You can also, right from the taskbar, turn that off anytime you don't want it to watch. But to be able to go back and say, oh, who was I chatting with on Discord about that thing the other day? And it would be able to go see all of the places where you were using Discord and see who you were having conversations with. It's going to be incredibly powerful. And then, as you alluded to, David, the voice interaction, to be able to have it see your screen and you can talk to it and interact with it, and it can guide you and give you advice. I mean, it's gonna make massive changes in tech support, in education, and certainly in helping you figure out how to play video games. So there's a lot of cool stuff in there, and it's great to see Microsoft continuing to innovate and really push the boundaries now that they have this the NPU, right, the neural processing unit, embedded into these new laptops. I'd say essential as well.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think essential for a slightly different reason, because it's a leadership move from Microsoft. And now think of all PCs who want to replicate that, and all computers want to replicate that or push it forward. So it's a mega new wave coming up our way in using AI in this type of way and better ways. So I think it's certainly essential.
Now, I'm curious. I'm a Mac user, and I thought to myself, would this make me buy a PC? Now, I feel like I can't fully answer that question until after the early June event, which I'm really pumped for, and I hope Apple doesn't let me down, where they're set to announce their AI features. But I'm curious. I can't say that this would make me buy a Surface, although, well, for usual use, because I'm a Mac user and heavy on the creative apps and stuff, it would bring me close. Maybe I'd get it to write it off so I can test it. But I'm curious. I don't know if you guys are Mac users or PCs. What's your?
I'm a heavy Mac user, but for work, I was forced to use the Surface, and I liked it actually. So it was in some sense better integrated with other services than the Mac. And so I have the same question. I would like to see it, but I might buy it to compare.
But one thing I wanted to add, back to Adam, your thing saying how essential this is. I think it was a month or two ago at MIT, Ahmad Mustang, the former CEO of Stability AI, said something interesting. He thought in 4 years, 90% of the personal or everyone's usage on large language models is going to be on edge devices, and the cloud's going to be for streaming AI models, which is a really fundamentally different shape than we're going in. But it's power at the edge, Adam, is really transformative.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and Microsoft's got a business model where they can make dough doing it, right? It's very interesting. And once again, just to put another nail in Ginny Rometty's coffin, when she was running IBM, the idiocy of selling off the ThinkPad to Lenovo. Anyway.
John, you're never going to get a coffee with Gina.
The reason I feel bad is that IBM is an important national asset from a competitive standpoint, from a security standpoint, and they managed to drive a great brand into the ground, which just really it's recovering some now, but man, did they lose their way. All right, enough on that. Excellent, essential it is. Next, Ankaj.
Okay, the next one comes from Dell Technologies. So they are building AI factories with NVIDIA and improving or growing their AI efforts with Hugging Face, Meta, and Microsoft.
Luda, what do you think of good old Michael Dell, the resurrected Dell Technologies now, deep in with NVIDIA?
I think this is actually important news. They still have a pretty serious market share. I'm not sure my source is correct, but it's something like 20-some% of the PC market. And so this is a leading supplier. And the fact that they are doing it and doing it well, they're working with NVIDIA on the chips. They are putting together the ability for the enterprises to use any model they like, open source or otherwise. And they're now into RAG. And the RAG is done that the vector databases are also modular. So giving the enterprises the ability to plug in whatever they decided to use in-house to use with the RAG. So it's very smart implementation, and I think it will be a major impact to the market. So I put it as important.
All right, we got an important from Luda. Others?
The other thing I would add is, Dell's gone private. Was it Silver Lake 4 or 5 years ago and bought EMC, and they have been unencumbered by the public markets as they retool for a relaunch and this age of Gen AI. And I suspect they're got even more exciting projects coming down the pike.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ashish is talking about the fact in the comments about how local computing will also unlock these capabilities for millions. And, this opens up the tech to OEMs, very heavy emphasis on Hugging Face, open models here, an appliance approach, NVIDIA's microservices. I give this at least important when you think about, the marginal cost of running some of these models. We have the edge device now from Microsoft. We have this, at the server level, local, get behind the firewall. Paul, you and I, back when we started this company, we're talking about, we know what everybody wants. They want all their stuff super protected on their own data, never wrong and secure. And, this is a path toward that, right?
Yeah, I think Ashish was talking about the Microsoft announcement, by the way, but I don't know. I'm going to challenge you guys. I went optional on this one. First of all, I struggled because this was clearly a rewrite of a press release from Dell, the way it was worded. And what's the immediate impact on the market? I don't see one. I went optional.
I think I'll make the argument for important. The immediate impact is if you think through your architecture of your suppliers and your technical architecture, you're going to want to know about this. That's where I think the immediate impact is.
Well, I think there's also on 2025 planning. So if you've got Walmart devices in front of customer service agents, a couple thousand of them, you need to start thinking now about what that infrastructure was. And do you want RAG, based edge devices for all your stores or all your customer service reps or all your computers on your warships? But I think it affects 2025 planning.
All right, we're going to land on an important here. We got lots more to cover. Anything else essential that our audience needs to know, or can we move on? All right, important it is. Akash. Next, we have our friend Ethan Mollick, the ever productive Ethan Mollick. Although after watching his presentation, I'm not sure if it's him or the robot writing this. Go ahead, Akash, take us through it.
So John seems like he has written it, given the arguments that he present for how AI is already changing management, and companies need to decide how they take it forward. So yeah.
Awesome. Adam, what do you think? Management changing or more of the same?
I think it's not a long read. Ethan Mollick is definitely, in my opinion, a thought leader in the space. He sees a lot of what's going on, and although a little bit light, I would say he has a lot of really good practical observations and recommendations about how to move forward in the space. So I gave it an important rating.
All right, important from Adam. Others?
Okay, I went optional. I don't know. Maybe I was in a negative mood after a 15-hour day yesterday when I read these articles, but I love Ethan, and I read a lot of his stuff. I subscribe to his newsletter. Generally, I really enjoy what he writes, and I think he says some smart things. This one, first of all, I thought shill for Microsoft. It felt a little Microsoft heavy. I was kind of surprised. B, I didn't think that the insights were necessarily his best or actionable, particularly. It was a little bit on the philosophical side. One thing I kind of chuckled at was the dig he made at consulting firms and how you can't follow the approaches that they generally recommend anymore. But to me, there's so many more pieces from him that I find really valuable. I didn't think this one rose to the occasion of his normal outputs.
All right. So
I was optional as well because it's almost regurgitating the Microsoft report. Excuse me. So what they've said in there. So I just didn't think it was strong enough. But the fact of the matter is the AI is already changing management. That is true. So
all right. So we're trending toward optional. Anybody gonna?
To be fair, it is probably more theoretical than practical. I was on the fence for that reason as well, so I could certainly sit with option.
All right, optional it is. Ethan, sorry, we love you, but not today. Okay, next.
Okay, so the next one is from Google. So early this week, we discussed a lot of announcements from Google around the new Gemini launch and various other features. But one of the things was around AI search results and how Google will be providing overview of every link that is there in the search results. So this has been met with a little backlash from publications, and seems like Google needs to think about its AI search strategy now.
All right, to start us off on this, we have our wizened software executive, veteran of many announcements. What do you think here, Paul?
Luda, I'm scared to say because I think we're starting to see John's parenting. We love you, but not today. So I actually think the world's underestimating what's coming next year. I mean, from the article, they're talking about 1 billion search results at the top being SCE. Gartner's estimating 20 or 25% reduction in search in 3-4 years. And this company called who was it, Rappler or something, is estimating a $2 billion drop in revenue for creators. And the companies I'm talking with, they don't understand what's coming. I'm flying to a company next week to meet with the management team, and they get 25% of their new business from SEO searches. And this is not on the radar screen of executives. It will be after next Wednesday, but right now it's not. So I actually, I think we've covered this a few times, but I think the topic is essential. This article, I think because it quantifies, I'll argue for essential.
All right, so we have a tsunami over the horizon coming.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, Paul. I was going to argue the same. It's something undercurrent that we talked about Google search and how powerful it will be, but we never talked about the bloodbath. This article says the bloodbath is coming and does some numbers, and it's true. So unless Google changes its strategy a little bit, I don't know, maybe they will. But at the moment, it looks like it will be a bloodbath, and so we should certainly call it to executives' attention.
Okay, I'm going to wonder if we should dial this down to important just because of our target audience. I think any company needs to understand this and what the implications are for their brand and search, etc. And I don't doubt that AI leaders should read this. I don't know if it rises to the occasion of essential for the AI leader in particularly. I need to be more convinced.
Well, I'm going to go for essential as well. I think that back to my parenting, the 2x4 necessary right now to hit the side of the donkey, I think is, you gotta wake up executives to let them know that no matter practically everybody interacts with SEO one way or another, whether you're looking for talent or you're trying to find new customers and so forth, or you're doing research. And I just think I don't think enough AI leaders are confronting the vast redo of search and how 2/3 of the market is nonlinear content, and this is all going up in the air. I think this is why our friend Pete Blackshaw, who was helping us the other day with the ratings, is starting his new company. Right, this is the post Google SEO world. So I'm going to give it an essential. All right. But we got a couple of essentials going here. And David, do not hit me with the grading stuff.
So, Luda, he loves his children some days, not other days. He always has the chalk as a parent.
I wish.
I did feel like this was a smart commentary. This commentary, I think, was better than Ethan's that we reviewed. But
and we promoted Ethan today, so there you go. All right. Next, Akash.
Yep. So the next one comes from OpenAI. So ChatGPT's mobile app has seen its biggest spike following the GPT-4 Omni launch.
All right, I'm feeling a new cartoon coming on here, David. about how.
We're going to get to the one that's going to fuel my cartoon. I think it's actually the best material that I've gotten all year. This isn't the one. However,
It's Scarlett Johansson, probably.
oh yeah.
Gotta go with
I
But on this, where do you start us off?
I-
EIO. Yeah.
So, I mean, on this one, impressive, right? I mean, their average daily revenue literally doubled from the mobile app. And what was the number they were up to for with it less than a week? 4.2 million in net revenue. I mean, amazing. This was, I hadn't realized actually that the 4.0 model was only going to be free on desktop. So this was a pretty interesting move, right? To try to kind of move the emphasis over to mobile, get people to pay so that they can access this on mobile. Because, I mean, when you think about it, it's where it's most useful, right? You want this in your pocket when you're walking around so that you can interact with the world and then, still have this assistant with you. Now, I say all that, but the article itself, optional. I think we can just say this in our newsletter, and that's kind of all the AI leader needs to know.
All right, we're going for an optional here. We're coming toward the end of the half hour. Anybody going to argue for more?
Nope.
All right, optional it is. Next.
Okay, next is more of a research paper which talks about efficient and effective large language models for scientific applications.
All right. Adam, what do you think here? We got Indus taking the world of the world and making it more
Yeah, look,
understandable.
I think it's cool that they've made a comprehensive suite of LLMs that are tailored specifically for earth science, biology, physics, etc. But there's nothing really earth-shattering in here. It's kind of as we would expect, which is when then you train a model on a certain body of knowledge, then it performs really well at that body of knowledge. So this seemed like optional news to me for that reason.
All right, we got optional news here. Anybody going to make a case for important? I was going to go optional as well. I just think it's fantastic how, I mean, one of the things that it reminds me, makes me proud to have been an academic for a while. I mean, the public good that comes out of NASA and some of these data and their care for, only using open source data and really creating a utility of value, a knowledge utility for folks, it's just impressive, right? Your tax dollars at work. I mean, really beautifully executed, I think. All right. Optional, great for the geeks. Go for it. Next and last, I think. Next is last, I believe. Ankush. Yes, Scarlett Johansson. All right.
Yep.
Go ahead, Ankush.
The last one on which David's next cartoon will be, where OpenAI used Scarlett Johansson's voice without her consent.
I will say before we go to this, I actually already covered this. If you look at my first frame of my cartoon from this weekend, I had Sam interacting with ChatGPT, and it was ChatGPT was Samantha and was flirting with him. And I scooped this story, is all I have to say. I just can't say that I did it intentionally.
Awesome. Luna, what do you think here? David's busy mapping out the love life of Sam Altman. What do you think of this?
It is a saga, right? And it will continue. It's on the border, right? They claim they didn't use her voice. They probably used the voice in her, right, in the movie, and trained the model. That's why it has a lot of similarities, but it's not necessarily hers, right? So where does the boundary stop? So I thought it was optional. It's very interesting. It's an interesting read. It's an interesting story, taking attention for people. But I don't know whether this is any more important than that.
Actually, I'm going to make an argument for important, and it's unrelated to my comic. The reason being, so if you read on Sunday night, I guess OpenAI posted how they picked the voices. They have 7 different voices, right? And this is one. It's called Sky, which they have since taken down, they said, in respect for her, even though they deny that it's her voice. they went through the whole process that they went through where they said they got 400 applications. They were working with an agency to pick out the voices. They had certain specs that they wanted the voices to hit. So this may not be her voice. It really does sound like they didn't use her voice. Now, did they pick somebody intentionally that sounded like her voice? Probably, but it's not her voice. And that's why I find that this is important, because leaders are going to be using these products. There's even a chance that they're going to put them into products in their own company that are created, to have voices that interact with their customers. And where the line I feel like got crossed here, and where she has a point, is if you look at all of Sam's comments, he kept referring to her and saying that he was inspired by it, and he was insinuating that it was Scarlett Johansson's voice, even though it wasn't. So I think she has an argument here. I think it's important for leaders to understand that this is a sketchy territory for them when they're going to be embedding voices and likenesses and all of that into their products.
Fascinating. Yeah, the issue of kind of like what is a voice and how do you know and who owns it and all that other stuff. I'm going to give it an importance. Probably mostly because David intuited that this was coming. No, we're going to give it an important because it's a topic of, obviously of a big deal what these voices are, who's going to, have access to them. I agree that Altman certainly has shown a lot of interest in her voice, and she's been a big part of the feel of the movie Her. All right. So today we have actually a bunch of reading. So Microsoft and Google's broken link as two essential things in terms of shaping what the interaction is with content. We've got some important stuff here in terms of Dell and Scarlett Johansson dealing with decentralization of capability and open source, as well as the definition of what content is. And then a couple of three interesting optionals about AI changing management, the mobile app, and a new Earth model, multimodal. Okay. That's it for today. Anything else from our analysts in terms of anything essential? All right. Lots of reading. Fantastic things happening as always on Kosh. Thanks for the hard work. And we will see you all tomorrow, bright and early or late, depending on where we are.